Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Julie's Orchids. It's springtime in Perth and I don't have a lot of new orchids in bloom, but I do have a lot of new growths going on. And as I was watering today, I noticed that I had so many different stages of growth going on that I thought I might do a video about it. And then I realized that Nina over at Ninja Orchids had a video that I remembered watching last year, which I then decided to take a moment out and go sit and revisit. So I'll link that video in the description down and hopefully put a card in up here. But basically her video was about judging your new growth size based on the bracts and how they grow, and so you can see how you're doing before everything matures. So you see on the table here a selection of different kind of plants. These are all sympodial type plants, those with pseudobulbs. And if you watch Nina's video, this is for these kind of plants specifically. So I have several of these plants of different genre in different stages of new growth. And I thought we'd start with the smallest of the new growths, or basically the swelling eyes or the nubbins that you can tell is not going to be roots but a new growth. And then we'll move up to almost mature-sized ones. And as I mentioned, I said that we would start with the smallest of the new growths that I have going on here. And here I have a species. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce these. You may recognize this one. I got this a few months back at one of the orchid shows. And as we can see coming off right here, zoom in there. So right here we can see that there's a fairly good new nubbin growing on there, and it's clearly not a new root. And we do have them in different stages of nubbin growth. One there, one there, and then even a little couple right there. So this is what they would look like right off the bat, and really at this stage it's far too early to tell how big or small they're going to get compared to previous year's growths, but we'll go on to the next size in our growth stage. Now this is the Brassia. It's here's the tag. And you can see that its new growth, right here, is coming along. It's at a further stage than the Brassia. And you can see it's quite meaty, quite thick, about as thick as my finger, so I have good hopes that this one's going to be a nice fat bulb as well. But if we're looking at the bracts, you can still see that it's, I believe, still growing, the bracts. So I'm going to say it's too early to judge if this one is going to be of same size, smaller, or equal to the prior one that I grew right here. But we'll keep moving on. Back to the Brassia, Brassidium families. We'll stick with those for now. This is Brassia rex. This was a gift from Lynn over at Lynn Brooks Orchids. And it came to me with these two, 1, 2, 3 pseudobulbs. And now we're growing this one. And I believe that these are the top bracts, where I think there's a little tiny leaf coming through here. So I think this is the top of it. And according to Nina's video, give it another, I'm going to say, finger width from there. So it should be about the same size as this one, which means I am taking very good care of the gift I received from Lynn Brooks. We will follow up on this one a little bit later. But yes, I was really happy to get this one from Lynn. So this one we're looking at here is a Dendrobium speciosum hybrid. And that's what this is. And I got this one back in April of 2021. And when I received this one, it had just these little tiny babies and this growth here. Since then, in the 1 year, it grew this, and that. And now it is putting out its first growth of the year. But what I'd like to point out with this particular growth is, look how fat that base is. That's a very fat base. And that's coming up very thick and strong. Again, this is very thick, about the size of my finger. And I don't think we're anywhere near the top bract on this thing. And considering the rate this thing is growing, I'm going to call this a weed. It's just going insane. Each of the progressive new growths I've grown on it so far have been the same size or bigger or fatter. So I have high hopes that this one is going to shoot off like a rocket. And this one bloomed for me the first time. This plant bloomed for me the first time last year. It was a very short bloom show, but it bloomed off of the second to last one that it grew. It did not bloom off the last one that it grew. I'm hoping that this one blooms again because it had very beautiful flowers and a very light fragrance. And the fragrance was sweet and honey-like. And yeah, I can't wait for the next bloom show on this one because I think it's going to be impressive. So fingers crossed. So now we're sticking with the Dendrobiums. This one's a little hybrid mix, and again I've had this one since April of 2021. And when I got this one, it had these little babies and this tall one and this tall one, and it grew this one and this one, but this one has never flowered. And now, so what we've got going on here is this new growth, and I think it looks a little bit skinny compared to the last one that I grew, but the top bract is right there. Zoom in on that one. You can see that nice bit of honeydew on there. And if we give that just a little bit more, I think we're going to hit this same height as the last one it grew. And maybe this one is going to flower for me this year. I don't know. And now we're going to go on to our last three, which are a mixture of Dendrobium, Catlia, and Oncendium alliance. But these are all ones whose new growths are pretty well almost maturing. So we'll start with the one right in the middle, which is a Catlia. So I got this at our local big box store, Bunnings, and it was in what we reference as a poly pack, those little plastic tube things that are all filled up. I had it with this, and then I've grown this one. And so we can see the top of the bract here, and you can actually see the pseudobulb forming right in there, which is much bigger than any of the other ones that it's grown. So I think once this one starts putting out roots, we're going to be happy, Mr. Golf Green. And can't wait to see this one going, because again, I know Nina has one of these. I've seen her care collab on it. And yeah, they're really pretty. So I suggest if you'd like to see one of these in bloom, go look through Nina's stockpile of videos. On to another almost completely mature new growth. Again, this one is a Dendrobium, and I cannot get the tag out, but it's called Gilliston Jazz Lisa. And I got this one with just these growths and this in the back. This one lost its leaves, and then I grew this one and that one through the year. I'm sorry, that's my coffee maker cleaning itself. And this one has grown through its winter rest. So it wasn't getting really a whole lot of water because you're supposed to rest these in winter, and it was getting absolutely no fertilizer. So you can see that our bract is here, and it really is pretty mature at this stage. I think this is the size that it's going to get. But I'm not worried about it being smaller than the previous growths because this one, like I said, this was the first growth that grew in spring of last year, and then this one grew, and then this grew in the winter. And I still think we've done a pretty good job considering. So I'm hoping that the next new growth to come out of this one will make it up to the top of that new growth there. And our last plant to talk about today is a Brassia, Orchid. And as you can see, it's got a pretty well, almost matured new growth right here. You can see that pseudobulb peeking right on out between the bracts and saying hi. Now I got this one and I grew this on, and then it started to grow this one. And as you can see, I kind of had some issues with some hydration, transplant shock and such. But it's grown this over the winter. And if we're following Nina's advice, even though we can see the top of the pseudobulb is right here, so according to Nina's advice, top of the bract there, so that means my pseudobulb has got still a finger's width grow. And she said give it another, maybe I'm going to say finger width. So that pseudobulb should hit right about there. Now comparing that to all the rest of the pseudobulbs, that means this is a happy plant according to Nina. So we'll do some follow-ups on these, but like I said, I just wanted to compare this with my collection from what I learned from Nina. And now that it's springtime, we can document how all these grow on. And I think according to Nina's video that shows that my plants are happy plants and that they're growing along very well. And I'd like to thank Nina because a lot of the growing techniques, even though I grow with organic media and Nina grows inorganically, I still have learned a lot from Nina, and I believe you can see that in my collection right here. I'd like to thank you all again for watching. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Definitely go check out the link to Nina's video on judging your new growth size for sympodial orchids. Yeah, thank you again for watching. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. A subscribe would be nice. And everyone have a happy, healthy day out there. Thank you again. Bye.